So far, with over a dozen people either directly or indirectly affected by paternity fraud, no one wants to speak about this because of how difficult a subject this is to confront. We finally found someone who has agreed to share his story with us, who has been directly affected by paternity fraud. We're now on our way to St. Thomas to speak with him. Driving to St. Thomas typifies driving anywhere in Jamaica. Parts of the road smooth and developed, much of it bumpy and uncomfortable. Almost as uncomfortable as openly speaking about being a jacket in Jamaica. Port Morant, on the outskirts of the capital Morant Bay, is the setting for our story. It's where Errol Scott grew up. He always felt he was different from his 4 brothers and 1 sister.
I recognize I was short. Most of my brothers then were tall because mommy has 7 of us, 1 girl, 6 boys. I was the 3rd boy for mommy, but when I discovered the first child for my father, I recognized that I was not from this stock.
He ignored the whispers he was a jacket all his life until he was 40 years old in the year 2000. By now, the man who fathered him had died. He was and still is an ordained pastor.
One Friday, I went to Morant Bay. My wife was working at Morant Bay Parish Library then, and she worked with a woman by the name of Yvonne. I don't remember her surname. And Yvonne said to me, "Oh, you come into the library?" And I was calling her today, Scotty, and you never answer. So something clicked in my mind. Could this be the brother they said that looks like me?
But he still had to be sure. This man just so happened to be religious as well.
He invited me, that young man, because I knew him from Norris, you know.
The man who you found out was your brother?
Yes, man, I knew him from Norris.
You knew him from before?
Yes.
Long time?
Yeah, but 2 man look like man. Me never put it, say he could be my brother. So when he called me now, he said he's having a convention. And where he was pastoring is a place in St. Thomas, right in St. Thomas here.
So this man himself is also a pastor?
Yes, he's a pastor.
The man's sister used to watch Mr. Scott preach for years.
They used to see me come and preach at churches, and they would say, "Jesus Christ, what a man look like, Daddy."
Then came an invitation to speak at a convention.
When he invited me to the convention, something clicked in my spirit. Is it that he's inviting me for his wife and children to see me and to ask some thought-provoking question? After the meeting, we exchanged number, and I was saying to myself, why he's so interested in getting my number, but I didn't say anything to him. But there and then, Giovanni, trust me, the Holy Spirit told me, this is your brother.
This is your brother?
Yes. So when I got home, as I got in, my phone rang, and he said, "Mr. Scott." I said, "What, Mr. Coleman?" He said, "Me have something to tell you, you know." And I prayed to him in saying, "You want to tell me so we are brother?" And he started crying.
He started to cry?
He started to
cry. What was your reaction?
Well, tears well up my eyes too.
He had always dismissed the idea that his biological father was not the man who raised him, until now. He immediately inquired whether he was still alive.
So we asked him, man, that is a live man. And my sister, them may want trouble, you know, because them say, it happened a long time, you know, if you go and trouble the man. But to me see you now, I say, a death stamp for papa. Me say, fly or fly low. Me have to carry in the family.
They planned to meet up the following day. Mr. Scott didn't sleep that Friday night.
I don't think I slept as I normally do for the entire night because the anticipation was great. So when I got up the Saturday morning and prepared meal, the time he told me that he was coming, he came about 2 minutes after the time. And when he drove up with him, he said, "Come on, Mr. Coleman." I said, "I hope he'd cook food early morning." You know. And so we asked him, man, and the way he laugh and talk, he say, "Yes, this is my stock."
Because finally, he saw his features in someone else's face. It was more of the same when he reached the house in Cheswick.
And my sisters actually saw me, and the way they laughed, You know, the joy, the vibes, the camaraderie. You can see that
The DNA.
it's that close. Man, it's like they knew me a long time. They never even want me to leave the yard.
And then he met his father.
I can't recall seeing him from a distance, but the first time in close proximity, and I hugged. And he didn't cry, but I cried.
You cried?
And when I look at him, just how my nose stay, the way he laugh, the way he see things, I said, this is my father.
But then a myriad of questions swirled in his head, along with a myriad of emotions, not all pleasant.
Having hugged him and felt elated, and like that feeling a bit, I start to think now, like I feel like a slight anger. Like, what would it like? Because my brother started to tell me how he taught them to swim and catch fish together. And I was imagining what would it be like to be brought up with him.
So, why did his father stay away for 40 years?
My father told me that my mother said, leave the boy alone and don't mess up the boy head because it happened a long time already. Make it just slide. So my father apologized to me, say, I could have come and see you a long time, but my mother, can't let me tell you, my mother wasn't a simple woman. You know, my mother, like, she rules men. Yeah, like my mother run things in a relationship.
Yeah.
If my mother said, this is B, you can't tell her when she say, I see.
Having gone through the euphoria of meeting his father, he felt anger building, but not toward any of his parents.
No, just anger within myself. It wasn't directed to anybody. Because having spoke to my father at length, asked him why I'm just knowing you. And he explained, I believe he not coming to see me was really justifiable, knowing that my mother, because maybe my mother would have even told him, you know, I do something to him for him not to.